This is the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling.
What the world is watching.
Okay, so WWE Night of Champions last night in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I've had a chance to marinate on the event itself. Very polarizing event. If I look all over social media, you'll get varied response to the show. It seems to be, it's an extreme like or an extreme dislike. And how or what did I think of it? Well, stick around and find out, because I'm going to keep it 1,000 as I always do here in the portal of pro wrestling. So this event, obviously, when it's in Saudi Arabia, it happens a lot earlier in the day, which was nice. Some crazy things happened last night, so I wasn't able to record. But this event was 6 matches, which is a little different than WWE has done recently. Usually they're PLEs outside of like their big 4, big 5 are usually about 5 matches long. The opening match was the King of the Ring tournament final. Cody Rhodes against Randy Orton. Now, Cody Rhodes beats Randy Orton here. Match was about 20 minutes long. I thought this match could have been in the 80s, in the 90s, maybe even the 70s, although I'm not really familiar with a lot of 70s professional wrestling. I watched a few, but not extensively or anything like that. But for sure, you can put this match in a time capsule. You can put this match in the 80s and the 90s, and it would blend right in. One of the fascinating points of this match, at least from what I took, was subtle heel mannerisms and tactics from both Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. It wasn't one-sided at all. You saw hints of it from both sides. I mean, with Randy Orton trying to do the punt kick, which is something that I called. If you watch previous videos, I actually called that. I thought that this would be the beginning of Randy Orton's descent into a darker side, because he's obsessed with winning that WWE championship one more time, at least one more time. So being plagued by that, he's gonna snap. It's very similar to the arc of Kevin Owens. You watched him slowly try to fight off the symbiote suit, from Venom, as a Spider-Man reference there. But and before you knew it, he just snapped. And I feel like Randy Orton is headed that way as well. On the other side of that, I also feel like Cody Rhodes is headed in that direction as well. Cody Rhodes has hinted about this in press. We have seen subtle hints of this dating back to when Cody Rhodes was confused and paranoid about whether or not his friends were going to attack him when he was feuding with Kevin Owens. He wasn't sure about what CM Punk was going to do. He was hesitant around Jey Uso and Sami Zayn, and they had to reassure him, hey, we're buddies, you're my friend, things like that. So we have seen a slow, and I mean, oh my gosh, molasses, slow, like change in Cody Rhodes' behavior and even his moveset and everything like that, just his intensity. We watched a little bit of that during the Jey Uso match. We saw it here against Randy Orton. What's interesting to note is that Cody Rhodes' post promo was a very similar to what you would consider like the genesis of a heel turn. Like, he seemed a little heelish when he was cutting that promo, and there's nothing that I can really point off the top of my head, but I can definitely say that there were things about that promo where I felt like maybe this is the beginning of a real heel turn, like for real. Nothing subtle about this at all. And in the background, if you paid attention, and I'm sure most people have paid attention to this, Randy Orton looked pissed off. Now, maybe he was pissed because of the loss. Maybe he was pissed because he didn't like the way that Cody was speaking in his post-match promo. Maybe he's getting ready to snap as well. So there's a lot going on with this right now. I mean, are we going to see the reuniting of the legacy? Is Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton going to both turn heel and start like a little group coming up? I mean, that's a possibility as well. One thing that you should look out for is, the last time I've seen this, I think, was in 2002. Cody Rhodes against John Cena is pretty much stamped for SummerSlam. You're pretty much guaranteed that you're going to see this at SummerSlam. Are we about to see a double turn? And I'll get to that later. I'm going to put a pin in that, and we're going to move on. In the next match, a street fight from what I can recall, I think this is the first street fight in Saudi Arabia, I believe. And they kept it very, I mean, this was a very domesticated street fight, to put it lightly. They didn't go into the crowd. They didn't go into the back. I mean, they really kept this as general as they possibly could. But Rhea Ripley defeats Raquel Rodriguez. Now, Roxanne Perez got involved in this match as well. She proved to not be that much of a difference maker in this match at all, but she was involved in this match. One thing to note is that we did not see Nikki Bella. I don't know if we're going to see her on Raw on Monday, or if they're completely pivoting and going in a different direction, which I would assume they would, because the kind of character that Rhea Ripley is, I don't know if pairing her with Nikki Bella is best for both brands. I don't know if it works for Nikki Bella's brand. I don't know if I really don't think it works for Rhea Ripley's brand. My opinion, completely. But yes, I think they can do loads more than pairing Nikki Bella with Rhea Ripley to go against Roxanne and Raquel. That's just my opinion, though. The match, as it stood, it was very fine for what it was. The result was not in question at all, in my opinion. I look for, I mean, they're doing a good job of keeping Rhea Ripley busy but not putting her in the title situation at all. One thing to note is that Io Sky has been very absent from WWE television, aside from a few backstage vignettes or promos, segments. So that is something that I think is really interesting, because Io Sky has been getting over huge. Her popularity is at an all-time high, in my opinion. She's getting herself over. She's doing the point things where she points at herself. The way that she interacts with the crowd. I mean, it's been a big presence of support for Io Sky, and for her to be absent, I find that very interesting. Like, I don't know if she's injured, but it's weird that she hasn't been defending the title. We haven't seen her around. I'm wondering if that's one of the reasons why we haven't, that's happening, is because of Liv Morgan. Because I think that's the last time we've seen Io Sky in the ring, was around that time against Liv Morgan. So maybe there's something going on with that. So I don't know. I don't know what their plan was, but definitely interesting that she's been absent, but Rhea Ripley has still been gaining traction. It's like, you might as well just give Rhea the championship. But I understand why they don't give her the championship, for the same reason they don't give Charlotte the championship. Let's build some other people up, so when Rhea and Charlotte inevitably win the championship, they have something to work with. You know, there's some people that are established and that have some credibility. So match was fine for what it was, though. I will give you that. Sami Zayn defeats Karrion Kross in a singles match here. This, again, the result, not in question here. But what was the most important thing about this was a few things. Number one, it was the rumor that was going around that Karrion Kross didn't know how to take flat back bumps, or wouldn't take flat back bumps in the WWE, which is absurd. It's hilarious. I think the report generated originally from Wade Keller, who I have the ultimate amount of respect for, and no disrespect to Wade Keller at all. Maybe he was fed misinformation. Maybe this was a way to kind of draw people away from the support of Karrion Kross. Maybe this is to test his true fans versus the fans that were just jumping on bandwagons. Whatever it may be, I smelled bullshit from the beginning. In my opinion, it was bullshit. I knew it was bullshit because I'd watched two of Karrion Kross's matches, most recently on WWE Main Event against, you know, lighter superstars in Tyler Bate and Cruz del Toro, and he was bumping all over the place, in my opinion. I don't understand. And if he couldn't take a flat back bump, and this is something that he said in press, why would they put him on a PLE? So, you know, these are things that all you need to do is just take a few moments to just kind of think about it, breathe, and figure it out on your own. And you really don't need a whole lot of like consensus or somebody to come out and misreport, or, you know, and say that this was a misreporting or something like that. You don't need any of that. So it was fairly obvious to me. As far as the match goes, I thought it told a really good story. I think those guys are great dance partners with one another. Kross and Sami Zayn, they work well with each other. Sami Zayn is the underdog babyface. He bumps around like a Ricky Morton, you know, a Ricky Steamboat. Although, I mean, you know, those were legends. They were fantastic at this, but you can definitely see a little bit of that in Sami Zayn's work, the way that he sells and the way that he bounces all over the ring. And Karrion Kross, that's when he's at his best, is when he's throwing fools, when he's tossing them all over the ring and he's establishing his dominance and talking shit in the process. That is when Karrion Kross is at his best. So I thought they did that really well. As far as the match goes, it was fine for what it was. It ended a little abruptly for me. I thought that was interesting. I mean, it kind of came out of nowhere. Just one haluva kick? Really? Okay. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and argue about it, but I just thought that was interesting. You're establishing, or at least reestablishing, that Karrion Kross is a dominant superstar. Really, really showing that he can crush fools. And then out of nowhere, in the midst of him like talking shit and crushing Sami Zayn, that Sami Zayn hits just out of nowhere haluva kick and scores the pinfall. I thought that was a little random. I'm not a big fan of that, but it is what it is. As far as Sami Zayn, I can see him now getting involved in the title picture again with Karrion Kross. I would like to see him move over towards maybe SmackDown. In my opinion, I think a move to SmackDown would do him good, but I would really like to see him get involved in Cody Rhodes' transformation, maybe Randy Orton's transformation. Now, see, here's an interesting thing. Randy Orton, he's kind of going to be out of sorts a little bit. Where does he go? Who's next? Who to bring out the Viper better than Karrion Kross? I would love to see that. I think that would be something. I think that's the natural progression for both characters, for Karrion Kross and for Randy Orton. You see, he tried to get at AJ Styles. AJ Styles was like, nah, not really, man. And it didn't seem to really bother AJ that much. But when it goes to Sami Zayn, you can see that he was shredding a little bit. He was shredding Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn was getting frustrated and even challenging him to a match. And what did Karrion Kross say? Got him. I believe with Randy Orton is actually going to snap. And I think that is the perfect person to bring that out, Karrion Kross. You heard it here first, folks. You definitely, if you see what I see, then the vision is clear, and I think that would be the best move. On to the next match. Solo Sikoa beat Jacob Fatu for the WWE United States Championship. Another match that I saw coming from a mile away. Now, I thought Tonga Loa and Tama Tonga would have returned. Instead, we just got Tonga Loa and JC Mateo that came in and interfered in this match. And then we also got the debut of Hala Tala Tonga. Now, it is to me, it is so pleasing to know that the WWE is actually paying attention to these storylines, because I called that Tala Tonga was going to be showing up a long time ago. I don't know what halted his debut in the WWE, what stalled it a bit, because he was off for like a year, but they were really stretching this out. Now, one of the things to note is that the Bloodline, or whatever this is now, whatever this is called now, looks a lot like New Japan Pro Wrestling. You've got Hikuleo, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Jeff Cobb, JC Mateo. All four of those guys, NJPW alumni. And either they came from the Bullet Club or they came from United Empire. They come from all these different groups. And it's interesting to note that there's not a whole lot of blood in the Bloodline anymore. So I think what happened is, Solo opened these doors for these rebels to come in. And now that they're going to be in, I think that they're going to have it out for the leader, Solo Sikoa, because they can see the cracks in Solo Sikoa. He is not a leader. He is just lucked up into a situation. He's a very charismatic guy. He can sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves. What's that movie? Name that movie, because that's definitely a movie quote. But he's got that. He's got that way of kind of manipulating people to do his bidding. But I think with those guys, once they have come through the doors in the WWE, now they're really going to start to tear things up, and they're going to realize they don't need Solo anymore. And I think that's when Solo's going to get over, because he's already starting to get over as a face. And this is something that I called a long time ago. The crowd is starting to get behind him. Now he's going to start crawling back to Jacob Fatu and the Usos. And now you've got Jacob Fatu, the Usos, and Solo against New Japan Pro Wrestling Rebels, Jeff Cobb, Hikuleo, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa. Boom. Book it, right? That's it right there. That's money. In my opinion, that's money. But the only question is who would start leading that group when Solo leaves. You would need like a manager to come in and really root, because I don't see anybody leading that group of rebels within themselves. Like, I don't see Hikuleu or Jeff Cobb or any of those guys as an actual leader. I start to wonder if maybe I'm a useful idiot. Maybe I'm putting these ideas out there in the WWE universe and maybe they're catching on. Whatever the case may be, I think that's a really fantastic idea, and I think it's something that could be expounded upon if used correctly. So I would really like to see if the WWE pulled the trigger and started going in that route. Now, I'm no reporter. I don't have any sources or anything like that, but I'm just paying attention to the program, and that's one of the things that I noticed, and I'd love to see that actually come to fruition. That's real talk. So let's go to the next match. Jade Cargill defeats Asuka in the Queen of the Ring tournament final. This match was not pretty. Okay, I don't think Jade Cargill is showing enough emotion. I don't think she's showing enough. I don't think she's calm necessarily. I think she's trying to get through her moves and remember her sequences, and I think she's not giving things enough time to breathe. I noticed she was selling her knee, but it was intermittent. She was intermittently selling her knee and not doing a very good job about it, in my opinion, as well. And, as far as the pin goes, it just seemed like she was just kind of out of sequence a little bit when she was kind of rolling back. She does the roll back and, she does the 3 or whatever, which is a really cool idea for a pin. But, it just seemed like she was out of position a little bit on that. So that's when it looked like it buffered a lot. I have a lot of respect for Jade Cargill. I really like Jade Cargill, and I just hope that she can get into that kind of role a lot faster because she's got everything else. She's got all the tools. She's got the charisma. She's got the look. She's got the moves. I just think the sequencing, the psychology, that just needs to be, worked on just a tad bit more. And I know that one of the things I think is a big problem is the fact that the WWE is no longer doing live events as much as they used to. When I grew up, live events was a way for the wrestling companies to find new feuds, to find the next big star, etc., etc. Now that they're not doing that, these up and coming wrestlers that don't have a whole lot of experience are now forced to gain their comfort zones in the Performance Center or on NXT or in Evolve or, in all these other places, when going on the road and doing a house show where the main event is like, the main event is like Cody Rhodes against Jacob Fatu. I'm just throwing that out there, right? And way down on the undercard, you might be there working with your future storyline feud opposition, but you're testing the waters out in Tulsa. You're testing the waters out in Columbus, Ohio, or something like that, and because they're not doing that, like these wrestlers they have to learn, live, and that's a lot of pressure. Jade she's had her feet to the fire, and I thought she's done a really serviceable job given the pressure that must take. And now going into SummerSlam, it seems to me like the goal right now in SummerSlam is to have Naomi and Jade Cargill involved in some spots against Tiffany Stratton. Now, whether that is Jade against Tiffany Stratton at SummerSlam and Naomi cashes in right after Jade wins the championship, or Naomi cashes in before Jade can win and pins Tiffany Stratton. Whatever the case may be, that seems to be where they're going. With Asuka, personally, I would love to see her get involved with Julia. I think that the way those characters are and the stardom history between each other, as far as I'm concerned, I don't believe Asuka, who used to go by Kana, I don't believe she's ever been involved with Julia in a match before. And I have to look that up, but that would be a first ever match. I see a lot of influence from Asuka in Julia's performances, and I think it would be a phenomenal match if that were to happen. So I would look forward to something like that. But I know that there's baby steps here, and first we have to get to Asuka and Io Sky at some point or another. So we'll see how that plays out. But as far as that match goes, yeah, it could have been a lot better. But I believe it accomplished forwarding specific stories and character emphasis. So it's fine for what it was, I guess, for that in that regard. Now, in the main event, John Cena defeated CM Punk for the WWE Undisputed Championship. This match was all over the place. Man, first of all, a lot of people don't like this match. for whatever reason. A lot of people like this match for a few reasons. Did I like this match? Yes, I was fine with this match. Now, I'm not going to put it on my match of the year list, but I understood the assignment. I understood what they were trying to do with this match, which was to establish that John Cena is not as set on being the heel as we think he is. There are cracks. That Seth Rollins is getting frustrated with John Cena because it seems to me like they have a very similar mindset, but that Seth Rollins is more stuck in this mindset and John Cena seems to be on the outskirts a little bit. And so we've seen some frustration there. CM Punk came really close to winning and they wanted to make sure that it wasn't a definitive loss. That's why they had all of this interference and run-in and stuff. You got Penta that's coming in to avenge that clear and decisive loss to Braun Breaker. That was absolutely an amazing match. And then you had Bronson Reed that was coming in, never got a chance to land that tsunami, but there was an interesting point there where he almost landed that tsunami. So they're keeping that finisher strong, which I really enjoyed. And CM Punk, it looks like, has gotten all of his face heat back from the incident that we've all talked about. If you know, you know. I don't need to get into it. So from here, it looks like we're going to go with CM Punk and Seth Rollins. With John Cena, it looks like his trajectory is with Cody Rhodes. Now, I would have loved to see John Cena against Goldberg while CM Punk while John Cena is a heel. However, it doesn't look like we're going to get that. And maybe that's a good thing, because there's a lot of polarization there. But SummerSlam is going to be really stacked. And I said that before when I looked at the WrestleMania final lineup. I said they must be interested in stacking the SummerSlam card because it is going to be the first ever 2-night SummerSlam. And it looks like they're going to follow through with that because it looks absolutely stacked. So that's one thing to look forward to. As far as the show as a whole, it was fine for what it was. And I wasn't expecting much at all. With these PLEs, there's not a whole lot of continuity. There's not a whole lot of story progression. Sometimes you can look at these PLEs and they'd be like house shows, just very static, This had a little bit of everything, in my opinion. You had a title change. You had a story progression. You had hints at heel turns. You had things that were moving everything along and building up for what's going to happen on the other side. And so I can't be mad at that. And I understand some people are bored. I understand that some people are unfulfilled. But in professional wrestling's landscape nowadays, if they gave you everything, and I'm from an era where I've watched all the eras, a 40-year wrestling fan here, and I'm telling you, if you get everything, you're still going to be hungry for more, and they might not have anything to give. So they're really trying to not, give you everything, but also keep you satiated. And you can't please everybody. And that's just the way it is in business and otherwise. You just can't please everybody. So you got to keep that in mind that, guys, if you want all your dream matches, if you want all your storylines, if you want everything happening right now and I can't wait, what's going to happen once you get it all? You're still going to want more. You're not going to be full, and then they're not going to have anything to give. So just keep that in mind. As far as the event, like I said, it's a very standard event. Nothing out of this world. Nothing completely horrible to where I couldn't get through it. And maybe one day I'll start doing retro reviews, and I can show you how much I disliked certain PLEs from the past. Comparison to some of the events that I've been to live from the WWE and some of the events that I've watched live in previous years. This was fine, and we'll see exactly what happens going up into SummerSlam coming up in just about 6 weeks or so. All right, you guys let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for sticking around. Thumbs up on the way out, and as always, stay tuned for more. I'll see you in the next one.